Hi, my name is Sue. Today I've been working on some faces with my needle felting. I've been making little elf faces today, one and another. We're going to start with basic principles and we'll get to making a face. You start out using your core wool, which comes usually as called roving. You're going to rip off a part that you want to use. You can pull apart roving simple by just pulling easy and the fibers will come apart. If you put your hands too close, it won't come apart because you're not catching the individual fibers. So you want to take and just pull it very easy. Most felting projects start out with simple shapes. We're going to start ours out with a simple ball. When you're using wool, wool has scales and the needle that you use has very tiny little barbs. Those barbs mesh those scales together to give you your finished product. Everything pretty much starts out with making just different shapes, round or log shapes. So we're going to start out by just taking this wool and folding it over itself using your thumbs, pushing it in together, folding it over and over until you get your basic round shape. Hold it tightly and then hold it against your foam. You want to work against a foam. I don't always do that myself, but it's recommended. And you just start poking and turning. As you turn it, you want to hold it pretty tight together and just keep poking your wool. If you're new at this, you don't want to poke too fast because you will poke your fingers. It's inevitable. You will poke and you will bleed. So I'm just going to keep rolling this around and poking it against the foam. Yeah, I just poked myself. And again. It's not a good idea to watch TV while you're doing this. You will have lots of pokes. The face is going to start out with a basic ball. You can make it round, you can make it oval, whatever it pleases you. So the more you poke, the tighter it gets. You're intermeshing all those little fibers together. Now sometimes you want to start out with more fiber to make a larger ball. I like to do individual sizes and make it larger as I go. I like my felting to be extremely tight and my ball to get very hard. At this point I could add a little more fiber. And again, I'm just going to wrap it around what I'm already doing. I'm wrapping it around, holding it tight, wrapping it tight, and turning it so it kind of gets all sides. You keep turning and turning and holding it very tight and turning. For needle felting, you start out usually using what's called core wool. It's not dyed. It may not be your best wool. You want to save your dyed colors for when you're doing your outside. The dyed wool is usually a little more pricey, so you want to save that and just use your plain undyed wool. I prefer Coriadale or Romney, sometimes Cotswold. It works well. It felts quite easily. And just keep turning and turning and turning and poking. And eventually your ball is going to get nice and firm like this one. This is about the size that I want. And then I'm going to cover it with my flesh color. So I'm going to just take a piece of this nice flesh and again I'm going to wrap it around and around. You will find grass and sometimes plant matter in your wool. It will usually come to the surface as you're poking your wool. Just pick it out. You always want your needle to go straight up and down into the ball. You don't want to try and bend it or manipulate the shape by bending the needle because it will snap and break. I'm using a 38 star. There's different size needles and different points. I like the 38 star for doing this work that's not very detailed. I do like the star point best. Just keep poking and poking. A lot of poking. When you think you're done poking, keep poking. Because you're not. The tighter it is, the better your piece will be. You can use this basic idea for any face, whether it's a elf, a mermaid, a gnome, a person, whatever. I do a lot of mermaids, and I like the same principle. Sometimes I'll just roll the ball in my hand to get a better shape. And again, just keep poking until it's very tight. You want the ball to be, when you squeeze it, you want it to be tight in your hand. You don't want a lot of spring back. I've been felting for a few years and enjoy it. It's very relaxing. And your imagination is your only limit to what you can make, what you can create. You see, as I'm poking, I'm still turning the ball constant. I have a tendency to try and do this in my hand, where I would work like this and turn the ball. It works for me. I don't know many people that do this. But I can keep a nice round shape this way. It would be the same idea if I wanted to do an oval shape. You can hear the fibers joining together with every poke. It's getting pretty firm, still has a way to go. I usually find most of my fiber at sheep and wool festivals that are held usually in the spring and fall. There are many good online sources. You just have to have fun with it. So once you get this piece as firm as you want, then you're going to go on to start adding details and sculpting the face. The first thing I usually do is the nose. I'll get there in a minute. We're pretty good here. So to make the nose, we're still going to require a little more, but I want to move on. We're just going to take a small amount of fiber and manipulate it in my fingers and then roll it tight. And you can make any shape nose you want. This is my preference. Just keep rolling it. And again, we're going right back to poking. So moving it, moving it, moving it. You always keep it moving. You always want to, again, stab straight up and down. You don't want to stab into the sponge because you're not trying to get the wool to adhere to the sponge, the foam. That would just make it difficult to pull out the fibers. I'm going to take the end of this, and I'm going to do this in my hand, be very careful, and poke into the center. That will help make it tighter and give you a nice finished end for your nose. And again, I'm going to roll a little more, and we're going to add it to the, so you choose a side that you want, you think is the best side for your face. Attach the nose, so the nose ends up being about in the center of your ball. You're going to hold it, and you've got one end that's still loose. The other end you poked all the fibers in, but on this end you've got them loose, so you can mesh them right into your ball by poking and poking. Both the top and the bottom, and then I will run down the sides with my needle. This is just the rough face. And then you're getting the basic nose shape. It's far from done, but it's there. Now, I like my faces to have definition for cheeks. And again, you're going to do the same idea. You're going to take a piece of your wool. If you want them to be the same size, you're going to divide that piece of wool in half. So you're going to be pretty even. And again, you're going to fold over, make kind of a little circle with your hands. Just keep folding it over and folding it over. You're going to place it on one side of the nose, again about in the middle of the ball, and just start poking around the outside edges. Again, I'm doing this in my hand, or I would suggest until you're comfortable with it, doing it against the foam. This is going to add a little dimension to your face. While you're working on your piece, you can start thinking about a little name for your character, maybe a little story. Okay, and we're going to do the same for the other side. Folding it over. Use your thumbs to fold it in so you don't have a lot of loose edges. We're going to place that on the other side. Basically the same area. And just start poking it in. I know right now it looks pretty rough, but you'll define all these areas as you work. I can work 3-4 hours sometimes on a face until I get it just the way I like it. Well, this is a real quick demonstration. We'll need lots of defining. Again, you're always moving it. You don't want to continue to poke in one spot, and then you'll get a very depressed area. So you always want to keep moving. I'm always moving my hand, rotating the ball. So as you can see, I'm starting to get definition of a face. You can do the same to add a chin. So I think we're going to stop here, and the next segment we'll put in the eyes. I hope you enjoyed.